Okay, welcome back, and this is the second portion of the tutorial on how to create a digital publishing project using InDesign CS6. And again, this is not meant to be an exhaustive overview of InDesign itself, nor graphic design, both of which could warrant plenty more tutorials and advanced training. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to make something nice simple project that could be done with students at multiple grade levels. So again, this is the document that we were looking at, and we're going to recreate starting from the beginning. And the way this is going to work is I'm going to take this one page at a time. So again, I'm going to start with the cover. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and of course I'm going to save it. Actually, let me cancel that. And what I'll do is I'll just minimize it in case we need to look at it. And back to InDesign here. Bear with me. And we'll go ahead and open a new document. And when we get this new document dialog box, what we're going to do is change the intent to digital publishing. And right now, since this is just a kind of first time effort, we're going to just create a portrait orientation. If you wanted to do a landscape orientation, you could. And in a more advanced project, we would set up the document to do both, so that as you rotate a tablet or device, the content would adjust itself. But that is for a more advanced time and place. So again, we're creating for an iPad. Perhaps you may or may not be trying to create for a different device, but we're going to work with the iPad since that's what I have, and many people do have access to them. So again, we're working with the portrait landscape mode, and we're going to leave the rest of the columns and gutters the way they are, and we say OK. So we have a portrait document here, and again we have our pages panel. Should this panel ever go missing, you should be able to find it right up here under window, where many of the other panels are. Any panel with a check by it is visible on the stage. So right now there's a hyperlinks panel, which is not really necessary right now. But we'll go ahead and close that. And then there's some other stuff here. I'm also, if you notice in the workspace, I'm in the digital publishing workspace. So if you're in maybe what might be the default workspace, you can always come in here and set this up to digital publishing. Okay. So we're going to try to recreate what we were looking at on that other screen, and mainly the way I did that was using some basic shapes like the rectangle tool. There are some other tools underneath there, but kept it really simple. And we can change the color of the rectangle either up here by double clicking or selecting into here different colors. You can also pick down here and bring up color picker. And one thing I've done was set it up off of a photo. I believe I'd selected some color out of the photo, so maybe I'll show you how to do that. So I had file placed a picture. And in this exhaustive realm of pictures, let's see that in a better view. I had selected a picture that I believe looked like this. Maybe this one here. That was the one. Okay. So when you get a picture and you first file place it, you'll notice that it's sitting there, just kind of waiting to be placed somewhere. So when you click and hold down the mouse and start to drag, you can start to scale and set the size of that image. And once you let go of the mouse, the image is then placed. And let me go back to my Move tool, Selection tool and show you how we can move that. Notice the blue boundary box. if I double click, I get a different boundary box. And that one allowed me to actually scale the picture within the side of that other frame. So InDesign allows you to kind of move the picture inside of that other frame. Notice that. So make Command Z that back to its original position. But sometimes that works if you're cropping an image and you want to, maybe say you want to scale the window, but then you want to edit your image. So you double click, so you have that highlighted, and then again you can kind of scale within this other window. Back to the original setting. Okay, and again for the cover, what I did was I had sampled the blue out of here using the eyedropper. I believe I picked a blue that was somewhere kind of down in this area. With the shape tool selected, and then the eyedropper seemed to be getting the color. Go back to that state there. Alright. So I had to make sure I had the blue outline around the photo before I could actually sample color. So with the eyedropper, now sampled this dark blue, and taking the rectangle tool, I'm going to go ahead and draw a box. And this area outside of this is known as the bleed. So anything you want to make sure is appearing on the screen should be safely within this magenta line there. Now, the box did not turn blue, so let's try that again. I drew it out, and then now I'm going to sample one more time. There we go. So now we've got a blue rectangle that's covering up my photo. So I'm going to go back to the selection tool. I'm going to click on this blue box. I'm going to control click or right click and bring up this panel dialog box here. And I'm going to go to arrange and send to back so that the picture is now above the rectangle. And I'm going to go ahead and draw out another one. And this time I believe I actually double click this and pick a lighter variation of blue. Oops, undo, Command Z. I'm going to actually click away from everything, off in the area out on the side. And then I'm going to sample the color. Since that was previously selected, it was changing the color of the object I had selected. So here I'm going to scale this up, and again, kind of got a similar situation as last time where I'm going to go ahead and pull the corners so it's a little, you can kind of create a framing, and then again I'm going to control click, arrange, and send to back. Nope, not to back. Let me undo that one. Command Z. And instead of send to back, I'm just going to send one step backwards. There we go. Now I'm starting to notice some of my alignment is off, so I'm going to go ahead and move this picture. And notice again that magenta line popping up, indicating things are now centered. It's kind of nice if you don't feel like you have a good eye, you can move things around. And then let's look at the text tool. So when working with text in InDesign, you select the text tool, and what you want to do is drag out a box over here and begin typing. If you try to do it over the top of the page here, it won't work. So I can show you that. So again, if I try to draw a box here to type, well, what do you know? It worked. Okay, so now that the box is drawn, you can draw it over here if you want, if it's easier, and then move it back. But go ahead and start typing. So I had previously picked a font called Charlemagne and began typing, and I believe it said our classroom field trip to the San Francisco Conservatory of Flowers. Once you've typed it, you can then highlight it with your cursor. When it's highlighted, you come up along the top, and getting along the top, you should see a lot of stuff related to graphic design and spacing and alignment. And here we've got the font size, and I'm just going to keep scaling until it looks like it's going to fit. I'm going to try a line to center. There we go, kind of like that. And maybe keep scaling just a little bit more. Down one more. Maybe even split this here. So, lots of different ways to line some text. And again, as we select that text box with our selection tool, there's our magenta line indicating center alignment. And then, so that was one box. There's still some extra room, so I'm just going to tighten up that box there. Maybe lift this up a little bit there. And do that. And then I'm going to create another text box down below. So I'm going to click and drag. And this is where I'm going to not getting a box. Since I'm not getting a box here, I'm going to go ahead and make it out over here, like I said earlier. So, and I'm going to type out Mr. Larson's fourth period biology class. Even though I don't teach biology, I thought it would be interesting to use that as an example. And again, my goal with this project is to allow teachers of any subject area the opportunity to think about how they might have students create pictures, videos, and assets to build their own project with. So switch this back to the front that I had before, and then scale it back down in size. And then I'm going to shrink up that window. So I'm going to grab a little handle at the bottom, so I don't have a bunch of stuff hanging over, and drag that over there until I've got my alignment. And I can also use my up, down, left, right arrow keys. Kind of work on spacing. I think I'm going to create one more level of framing around this, just for fun. So again, with the rectangle tool, and I'm going to go ahead and draw out, and look up at that corner, and look at each side, kind of think about how it is matching up, and then I'm going to change that color. So instead of blue, I'm going to go ahead and take this top right corner where I got white, and again, control click on that, arrange, and send backwards, do it a couple times, send backwards, probably almost there, but send backwards, there we go. Now again, I can see it's a little off alignment there, so but it's still selected, so I could nudge it with my arrow keys. Better yet, if I grab it with the selection tool and move it, I can see my arrows. And then look, you can see the vertical arrow indicating center alignment and the horizontal arrow along there indicating alignment there as well. So that's the front page. And before I leave this page, I'm going to go ahead and go down to the bottom of the page panel here and set up a new page. I'm actually going to, I could make a blank new page, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag that over that new page there and create a duplicate. And then delete select and delete the different elements and kind of start with this on the next page. Okay?